Hi, good afternoon. I will be discussing to you a little continuation or just a few continuation of what social context, the lesson 2. So this will be the last topic under lesson 2. So it's data management towards big data. I will not be reading all of this. I will just highlight those topic that or those exact topic that we need to further discuss. So, out from this topic, we have data management. So, what do you mean by data management? And what are the example of data management? So, data management basically is the practice of collecting, keeping, and using data securely, efficiently, and effectively. So, what are the example of data management? So, here in the picture, this is Lee Margaret Hamilton. He was the lead, no, the he was standing next to the code that got the shuttle to the moon in 1969. So that was a very long time ago. So right, Kathy Borman, lead computer scientist with a disk needed to store all the data and her laptop with the first image of the black hole. So if you have a huge data right in front of you, what you're gonna do to make use of that data, right? Because data are actually a piece of gold if you really know how to manage it well. So let's say for example, as simple as in the school in SDSSU, uh, the name of the student, the subject, and then the teacher that is handling the subject, and then all of those are data. So you can actually use that one for a research. Let's say for example, if we want to know uh, the trend of the enrollment for over 5 years, or if we want to know which teacher perform well in the classes, we can actually use this data. So from those raw data, we can actually have a useful output by managing our data well. So those are some of the example. And then we also have uh, in the accounting, uh, the sales, let's say the sales for this month or the sales for next month or the sales during winter, the sales during winter, the sales during rainy season, and then summer. You can actually compare that one using the data that you have in your office or in your sector or in your kanang department. So that's what data management is all about. And then from this topic also, the data mining was also mentioned. So what is data mining? So data mining is the practice of analyzing large databases in order to generate new info. So data management and data mining is actually, they are actually, when you say data management is actually the umbrella, and then one of those is data mining, which is what that is one of the data sciences method that is under the data management. So what is data mining is actually one of the common data sciences that are being used in researches nowadays. So what are the example of data mining? It is also mentioned here that uh, in the store, a store manager wants to know that if the cream is put on the shelf next to the strawberries, whether the customers will buy more strawberries or the more cream than what they are left in usual position. So, uh, kung ato nang i-relate with our own setup here, when you go to the mall or when you go to the grocery like in the Gaisano Grand Mall, you can really see that uh, all of the aisles are actually they actually arrange it according to customers comfortability to get a high sale. So let's say for example, uh, if if you really like to make a simple dish, you don't have to go to other aisle. You just have to go to a certain aisle where everything is already available. So that's the comfortability of the customers. And then with that, you can actually have a high sales or high profit. So that's about it. And then what is machine learning? Machine learning is also mentioned here. So machine learning focuses on algorithm to achieve good prediction based on large amount of training data. So there's a lot of type of machine learning. So data mining is one. We also have mga prediction analysis like fuzzy, Bayesian, and so many other types of data, data and how you manage your data using a certain method of data sciences. Okay, so the next lesson or the next lesson that we will be discussing is the lesson 2.2, or the time of transition in communication and network usage. Right now, internet is still very slow. So I'll be posting your activity in after the discussion. So this is your activity while waiting for the module to uploaded or to display. So this will be on the 23rd, and then this is still under module 1. Let's see if it is already, oh, it's here already. So just ignore the error. So lesson 2, 2.2, time of transition, communications and network. Under that, we have the transformation of communication, the worldwide mobile revolution, and then the digital conversion. So what is the time of transition in communication and network usage? So it is mentioned here that some people, such as Castells, by the way, Castells is a Spanish sociologist, especially associated with researches on the information of technology, communication is globalization. So he studies more on how the people behave in the era of information technology, communication, also with the globalization. So it says here that uh, that sociologist, Spanish sociologist Castel, his name is actually Manuel or Marlo, as long as it's Castel, claimed that a new form of society has arisen through a number of major concurrent social, technological, economics, and cultural transformation. So the change that the information technology, the transition of it, is at global scale, not just on the local area, not just on the US or in the Europe, but it's actually global. But this does not entail that everyone is participating equally. So meaning to say, not although the change in communication is actually on a global scale, but not every region is actually conforming into the changes. So let's say, for example, in the Philippines, Asia, which is Philippines, is one of the most user when it comes to Facebook, when it comes to social media. However, some part of the region in the world, like Europe, are not really into it. Some of it, some are actually they're using it for business, but most of the countries that belongs to Asia are actually using it like like it's part of their daily lives. So that's how it is transcended from different region. And also, uh, there are, let's say, for example, I will just getting highlighting some of the topic. I will not be reading all of this since it will take long for us to finish this discussion. So it mentioned here that the top-down mass media mode has been augmented with and to some extent replaced by horizontal digital communication between peers and by what has been called citizen journalism. So we'll focus on what is citizen journalism. So when we say citizen journalism, it is a type of journalism that is conducted by people who are not professional journalists but who disseminate information using websites like Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and so many other social platforms and social medias. So this is what we actually experience now. We don't have to, uh, we are not actually, most of the news most of the propaganda or most of the informations that we hear right now, we're not actually relying it on the media anchors anymore, or on TV Patrol or in 24 Oras, where most of us are actually relying it what we seen or what we saw on the social media, like in Facebook. And the people who are actually sending those informations about news and all other things about what happening in the world are not really media anchors. They're not licensed to do that. They're not registered to do that. But because of the transition of time in communications and technology, anybody can actually release a news. That's why it brought a lot of disinformation, fake news, propaganda, etc. So, as the case may be for either mode of communication, so wireless communications can now reach users in most places on Earth, albeit at various speed and various cost. So once you release some information on the internet, it's actually real time. So the time, although we have different global time, or we live into a different like daytime here, nighttime in the US, but the time that they send the message, it's actually real time. Let's say, for example, if I send the email, or if I upload the picture, it is actually right there and then. The time that it was being uploaded in the Philippines is the same time, or the same viewing time. You can actually watch it on the other side of the world as well. So that's how citizen journalism it is. Normal citizen can actually bring news even if they're not actually uh, a type of journalist. So kung sa ato apa ni, like in the other baryo-baryo, mga tabi-tabi ba, this type of journalism. But now, because of the vast informations that we receive on the Facebook, and a uh, uh, lots of kanabang access, we can actually receive news even if it's not really, we're not really sure, we don't know how to filter those that are fake news or not. And also, uh, there some of the topic here also mentioned about uh, WhatsApp. Let's say, for example, also changes that have taken place have affected the generation in different ways. For instance, now that there are WhatsApp parents group of schools, classes have such group themselves for student communications. People are used to such instant communication. So before, we need to go to a meeting like a PTA, Parents Teacher Association, and so many other things for us to convene on what the topic or what the meeting is all about for our children. But now, because of social media, because of the transition of communications, we don't have to go to that place where we can see face to face, or we just have to conduct meeting virtually. So there are group chat for parents, there are group chat for classes. That's what we are doing right now. So compared to before, with the telephone trees for distribution of information that was functional for many years before, we don't have to go to to the school in order for us to know the information, in order for us to communicate with the teacher. All we need to do is to do the social media, or to do the uh, to to avail the communications, or the transition of the communications, and with the use of the technology. So the question is, or the questions are, how do you think that these different modes of communications have affected society? Although it brings advantage to a lot of people, but does it also have disadvantage? So by next meeting, we'll answer all of those. I will answer some of these questions, and then there is also one question here that, could you argue that one way of communicating is better than the other? If so, how is better or even best? And then the last one is there a generation divide regarding the use of communication technologies? Or if so, where about? Or which year would you put the before and after? So generalization or generation divide. When you say generation divide is the millennials, the 80s, the 90s, and then the generation X that we have right now. So, um, if this is the way how the universe work, you can see why human relationship and human networks are so important. Human networks are actually being discussed here somewhere here also. So when you see human networks, it's still the same with how the people now are being connected with each other compared before. And what about social network analysis between the human network analysis? When you mirrored social network and then human network, it actually uh, being in a bubble, or being in between the social network sphere, because sometimes comparing the social network and then the human network, sometimes the common mistake people make when building a relationship with the social network and then the human network, sometimes they forgot that uh, social networks, especially like the way we talked about in the group chat, most of the time, as much as possible, I want to be it on a professional level, because through that we can maintain the decency, and then the informations that we will be giving to each other are all valid, not fake news and so many other things that can make us clouded with so many things. And then, uh, but in the social network also, one of the disadvantages, you never know if you have friends or if you have social networks, you never know which is genuine or which is not. It's like when you say human networks before, because you say face to face, or you talk to them, you know how sincere they are. But when you say the social network analysis, is it's hard to build trust, or it hard to build intimacy within your friends, because it's just technology, it's electronics. So that's about a social network and then the human network. So what about the filter bubble? Filter bubble is actually most common right now. So it is being defined here that filter bubble refers to the what you see in the search result or search engine or feed in social media is determined by your prior interaction rather than the non-personalized page or item rank that is not influenced by the users or behavior. So filter bubble, so all of us are actually in the filter bubble, especially that we are actually using most of our lives right now in the social media, in Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and so many other social platforms. And Google is actually, because most of us are actually every day of our lives, we actually Google anything that we want to ask, we Google it. But however, these filter bubbles are now an issue of human nature, because uh, you we they feed us, they only feed us what they need to, what we want to learn, not what we really need to see. So let's say for example, when we search something in the Google will populate all the things that they want us to know, not that we really wanted to learn, or that not that we really wanted to know about. So there's one sociologist also, his name is Parisier, argue that when we use social media, or when we use search engine in the internet, uh, part of us human weaknesses, because we don't want our ideas to be challenged, so everything that is being populated in the Google are just filtered filtered for us. So let's say for example, it argues that the algorithm that is being used by the Google learn who we are and create our filter bubble based on what we click on and how long we spend looking at particular content. So dili ta ma-challenge because all of the things that we look into the search engine are all agreeable. So let's say katong ni populate nga 1 to 10 nga mga first 1 to 10 nga mga content that we're looking for are actually paying Google para sila una mo populate. So that's how is it being done. That's the algorithm. Because if you, let's say, how to get fat. So tanan mo populated to are those websites that are paying a lot of ads for Google and then maora puti i-feed sa imuha. So what I want to for you to understand right now is that it's all about filtering of information, not really the things that you really want to learn. So wala siya contrast ba? Wala siya contrast. So when we say filtering, so what do you mean by filtering? Before we go to what's the other topic. So what is filtering? So uh, in the social media or in the electronics world right now, every filtering is all about. Filtering is the normal thing. So filtering helps us deal with the vast amount of information available to us. So if there are a lot of available information for us, let's say when we search or the informations that we want to learn, all of those are being filtered from all the keys that you enter into the search engine. Let's say what is algorithm, from what is algorithm, all of those are actually filtering all the informations that they need to populate after you click the enter. Okay, so we try to filter information so that we end up something that is relevant to us. It helps us learn something. It helps us solve problem. It helps us develop a new hypothesis about the world around us. So it's all about filtering. So filter bubble is also a term coined by internet activist Parisier, the one that I've told you just a short while ago, to refer to a state of intellectual isolation. This is one of the disadvantage of filter bubble because every time that we search to Google or to MSN or to Yahoo search, uh, it will usually result from a personalized searches when a website algorithm selective guesses on what information a user would like to see based on information about the user, such as location, past click behavior, and search history. So those are the filtering. So all of the search engine like Google, MSN search, Bing search, those have actually a different kind of algorithm on how they are going to populate the information that was being asked on that search engine. So now they actually pattern the informations that they will give you out from the search informations that you like to know based on your based on the user, based on the profile of the user, especially that if we log into Gmail automatically, your account will avail all the Google product. So once you log in into your Gmail, you are logged into Google search already, to Google Meet and to so many other product of Google. So uh, by doing that, they can actually filter all the informations that they need to learn from you. So that's what filter bubble also is all about. So what is an echo chamber? Now, you can also see from here from the illustrations how is filter bubble is all about. Okay, so they also have an echo chamber. So an echo chamber is defined as a situation, sorry for the space, it's defined. Just ignore the A. As a situation in which people only hear opinion of one type or opinion that are similar to their own. So what is echo chamber? So if you can see into the picture, if you like this, you like that. So if if a lot of people are liking into a certain content, let's say Facebook is the most common, if you like it into a certain post or into a certain content, mo echo na siya, murag mo bounce back all the information that is being related to that post. So most of the time, if you open to a content or if you like someone post, most of the time siya ra pud ang magawa sa imong timeline because it echo, because it bounce back. That is sometimes when you are connected to the Facebook to someone, when you stalk someone or when you are always following someone, most of the time, uh, he or she or that profile will most of the time populate your timeline. So that's what is echo chamber is all about. So the biggest brands in social media now is Facebook. We also have YouTube and Twitter, but here in our place we you use Facebook and YouTube most of the time, not Twitter. So success of the ads or the sales in the YouTube is defined by the hours users spend engage with content and measure in advertising dollars or attentions generates. So that's why if you notice there's a lot of fad in the Facebook. There's a lot of fad in the Facebook like you can make your profile avatar or write-ups or news about that, and then a lot of people are actually echoing it or re-echo it. So let's say for example the recent news about the lady, the I forgot what the FA, the flight attendant. So once you read one content of that, it will echo. The next time that you open your Facebook, a lot of timeline will a lot of content, the same content will populate into your media, and most of the time the same content will again and again populate in your timeline. And then there's also a lot of fad in the Facebook wherein it actually encourage you to join. So if you notice, I'm not really fond into joining the fad in the Facebook as much as possible because they are actually using your data. They are actually earning money out from you spending time to that certain content. So the more time that you spend on that, the more money Facebook can get or whatever social media platforms you are in, and the more richer they become. So Facebook, depende ra na siya. So if you are actually, if you like to do that, then good. But if you don't like to do that, it's not really it will not hurt anything or it will not hurt anybody. So that's it's actually Facebook divide because you can see some of the users can actually binge or can actually rant on Facebook. Most of some of the Facebook also are always following what the Facebook is making famous of or is making a fad of something, and then you follow like the whatever mga pakatok-pakatok sa Facebook, but some of it or some of the people are not. So that we respect that differences. So we also have globalization. I think I don't have to discuss about globalization anymore because I remember before this was discussed to you a lot of times already. But yeah, globalization is a process of interaction or integration among the people, companies, and government of different nations, a process driven by international trade and investment and aided by information technology. So this process has effect on the environment, on culture, on political system, on economic development, society, and on human physical well-being in the societies around the world. So from the pictures, you know that globalization. So from either from if you're from any side of the world or from other side of the world, you are being connected because of the globalization. So how about localization? So uh, from globalization, localization is actually being applied already. So if you notice, when you log into Gmail or when you log into Facebook, there are actually options where you can change the language. If you want to change it into Tagalog or if you want to change it to Bisaya, I think. or to any other language. So that's part of the localization. So when you search something, most of the time, the content that is being uploaded or the content that is being populated in your search are actually localized as well. So the product is global, but as much as possible, the result they make it localized. Okay, so it also says here that localization is that the opposite of the term globalization. It is typically used in the context of localization of software. That's what I am discussing earlier. So this concerns mainly the process of translations of terms and pop-up boxes of an application of interface. So this is very obvious when it comes to using your Gmail or some other social platforms. You can actually translate it to your own language or to your own localized verbatim or the way you speak in order for you to understand more about the functions of that certain social media. So what is transformation of communication? So transformation of communications is simply the the devices or the gadget that is being used in the field of communication through time. So before we need to go to a booth for us to use a telephone, but later that year we can use a telephone at home. But now everything is actually mobile. Anywhere you go, you can call, you can use the internet, or you can call someone, you can communicate to someone. Wireless, wireless. Okay, and then there are some terms here also. You can read it by yourself. Anyway, these are just supplemental informations about the topic. So we also have worldwide mobile revolution. When you say revolution, is that uh, all of the all of the things that we're doing right now is through mobile. We can pay our bills through online. We don't have to bring cash. One SIM give you a lot of kanang functions. There's a lot of uh, actually for now, I think there's a lot of mobile phones or SIM card more than the population itself, the people itself, because uh, some of the people uh, actually owned more than one cell phone or more than one SIM. So it's actually the revolution of mobile because a lot of us are actually using mobile in our daily activities. So that's what worldwide mobile revolution is all about. So how about digital convergence? So when we say digital convergence, it refers to the fact that we no longer need separate communication channels for different media such as voice, video, text because they are all digitized and can share the same connection and platform. So this is what being shown in the picture. When you say the term digital convergence, it means the ability to view the same multimedia content from different type of devices. So let's say, for example, if you have smart TV at home, you can watch YouTube in your TV. You can watch YouTube in your phone. You can watch YouTube in your desktop. You can watch YouTube in your tab. The same content, different devices. These are all thanks to digitization of content. The movies, the pictures, the music, the voice, the text. Those are example of, or those are the uh, content, or those are the important part of the multimedia. And the development of connection method. That development of connection method at what we call the network, the technology, that content that converge or that merge in one single device. That's all for this topic. I hope you understand. If there are questions along the way as you listen to this video, please don't hesitate to contact me, message me in the group chat. Thank you and stay safe, everyone.